and welcome back to the Modern Entrepreneurs Book Club. We are on episode 3 now. We have our hosts, Robert, and our new host, Kendall. Thank you so much for coming. Why don't you give a quick introduction to the people who you are and why you decided to come join the Modern Entrepreneurs Book Club?
Sure thing. I'm Kendall Dawson. I just graduated USF with my MBA. I've been a strategy consultant for 3 years now, and I joined the book club because I'm enthusiastic about learning. I like to feed that muscle, and I'm a lifelong friend of Robert's. So once I saw he was doing it, it caught my attention. I saw you guys were reading The Prince, and I just wanted to join. I wanted to hop in, see what's going on here, build something great.
So, and wanted to touch point. I know we each do kind of a different stem of business development. Could you elaborate more on what you specifically do? Just in case someone does want to utilize your service.
Yeah, sure. So I've been a strategy consultant with Malloy Group for the past 2.5 years. I just finished working with them in March. There, I would devise actionable deliverables for a variety of clients. I've been in agriculture, fine art. I've worked with museums. I've worked with education. I've done nonprofits. Really, a lot of nonprofits. And most of those we were presented a problem. I worked with the team. I was either a team lead, a scrum master, or a research associate, depending on what that business need was. And I was part of a team that would devise a solution and present it and make a recommendation by the end of about 12 to 15 week period. So I would say that I'm a man with a lot of tentacles in a lot of different fields, right? So
that's what it takes to have an MBA.
Yes, sir.
Even just be a owner to a business. I mean, you have to have knowledge in multiple different fields in order to be a successful business owner.
Right. And I was just most recently a global mobility consultant with PwC, and where we pretty much would take on individuals with a variety of clients, mostly Google and Amazon. I would work with take on individuals from other countries like Ireland, India, Japan, and integrate them into the United States. We would do their taxes for them. We would help them with making that process as seamless as possible, right? You have a lot to worry about when you're moving from a different country, when you're relocating. The last thing you want to do is really trip over the tax code, the tax laws of the country, and how your money would transfer over, right? So I would do a lot of different compliance and administrative services with them, and yeah, so that was my most recent employment, and now I'm a freelance consultant, ready to exercise my mind.
Awesome. I love to hear that. Well, Pat, why don't you take it away? Why don't we kind of discuss what we're reading today, and we'll start the topic from there.
Today we're going to be starting out with chapter 5, which is how cities and principalities which lived by their own laws before they were occupied should be administered.
And what does that mean to you, or you can know?
In a nutshell? This chapter for me was very interesting because I thought that when it comes to taking over an enterprise, right? Like when I think of for myself, right? When I was in early years of college, I studied Mandarin, right? So being and embedding yourself inside of a culture is not only just a way for you to kind of understand them on a different fundamental level, right? When it comes to the context of like conquest, or even when you're entering into a foreign space, right? Embedding yourself and respecting something that is already there and doing it with a certain level of reverence. I'd never realized how much power was in that, right? And in the chapter itself, it talked about how the mistakes of, countless emperors would be that they would just attempt to take it over, but not really respect. Like, no one is going to be happy with someone taking over their space, right? But someone that goes and lives with them becomes a part of it, and then thus it creates a new prince bloodline because you become a part of their culture, right? If you are a part of your day-to-day life and not much really changes, but the person that's running the top level changes, it's not that much impact to the day-to-day person. Thus, most people are going to be happy to be compliant, right? From my personal perspective, I thought it was the chapter really kind of encapsulated just the power associated with being respectful in becoming a part of a culture or nation or even a power dynamic structure. What about you, Rob?
So, yeah, so that, I mean, I totally agree with your points. I mean, I was just going to bring up the point of when you go to a different country, you know, you have to abide by their customs. You can't go in there and think America rule, America number one, and do American stuff. Everyone will hate you, right? And that same thing applies to sorry about that. Same thing applies to when a ruler goes into another country. You know, you know, America invades Iran, Iraq, Afghanistan, right? Um, you know, we go there, and you know why they're so hostile towards us is because we go there trying to, you know, take over. We don't abide by their customs, and oh my
Rob is
God,
busy.
so sorry about that.
Man, never stop working.
Uh, and we don't abide by their customs, and that's the way.
It's okay.
I'm so sorry.
I have a
One
question.
second,
I have
please.
a question.
Um,
Sorry to interrupt you.
go
Kendall,
ahead.
I'd really love to hear and pick your brain on this because you said that you worked on high level strategic planning, right? Do you think that there's a lot of power with when you're entering a power dynamic or entering into an established tradition system that abiding by that helps you in your cause when it comes to dealing with high level problems?
Definitely. I think, yeah, people are a lot of leaders or, you know, established folks, especially dealing with someone as young as themselves. They might be really resistant to hearing new ideas from someone they don't feel has enough experience to require their ear, right? So if you, I think if you ingratiate yourself in a way that allows those folks to feel more comfortable, like you're one of them, like you've been a part of, like just say corporate culture. Not even, it doesn't even have to be as an outsider or as someone who's more educated, right? You can just say I've been a corporate man for X amount of years. There's a level of ease and a guard that's dropped, right? As soon as people hear that, if you, I mean, name drop a school or try and find that common ground, in any regard with whatever leader or whatever person of authority that you're speaking with, and I think I mean, even with job interviews, right? Like as soon as you have to set up a rapport with whoever it is you're talking to, just like you and me, right? Today, Robert's our shared connection and
Common ground.
yeah,
Common ground.
and based on that, we've already been able to establish, okay, yeah, bro, you're
I'll
cool.
rock
I
with
rock
Kendall
with
too.
you.
He's a great guy.
Yeah, so you're right. So you're trying to have something special with this club, and right. So, but that's in play here right now. It doesn't have to be because it's this big, huge. We're not trying to take over country. We're just trying to take.
For now,
we're both. I'm foreign in a space, right? I'm a foreigner in this space, and I had to resort to that to just become accepted. If I just came in here talking about, nah, this is the way we do things in my house, like nobody, come on, bro, like for real, that's not gonna resonate with you. You're not gonna want to really build that rapport with me. And just from, you know, just like that's a micro interaction, but that should, excuse me, that should really play out in every aspect as you move through a particular field. Whether it's individually or on a team level or on a corporate, like big macro level.
Yeah, I agree. I agree with you, Kendall. I actually wanted to touch point on both the rapport building and the common ground, which a lot of individuals need to do better at, you know, and a lot of individuals just don't know how powerful that is. I think, well, first off, actually, even before that, when you said that people aren't going to willingly accept stuff, I mean, that brings us towards the first chapter when it says human man, um, human nature is we don't willingly we don't forcefully accept people. We have to willingly accept a new ruler or someone else that comes into our life. To touch on that point, and then to touch on the rapport building and the common ground, what you said that a lot of people need to do is, as this why rapport building is so powerful is because uh, once I introduce, or not even rapport building, let's say common ground. Let's start with common ground first. Common ground and referral, right? They're pretty much kind of the same thing. They go hand in hand with each other. So the most powerful type of connection that you can make is a person through a referral. And the reason why is because once someone refers you, they not only like tell someone like, hey, you should work with this person, or you should be with this individual, or yada yada yada, but they also transfer trust, and a level of trust that if you were to go and find someone cold, right, you will have to spend maybe 30 minutes warming up, right, or a week warming them up, or maybe a month warming them up before you build some type of rapport with them. Whereas if someone gives you a referral, like we said in the beginning, like, hey, Patrick, this is my boy Kendall, you already had a level of trust because you know me, right? And as an individual that you respect, right, you already assume that this other individual is going to be similar on the same level as myself, right? So that's what a lot of business owners should do, is that when they're trying to broker a deal or leverage something, try to find the common ground between you guys. Try to find, or hopefully you can find a referral that will vouch for you, because you have someone that vouches for you, or you can find some common ground early within the relationship. The relationship can prosper a lot more. What do you guys think about that?
I mean, I think that's pretty spot on. What the one thing that I would kind of like question as far as like when it comes to like having the referral, right? Do you think that there's certain tactics or certain ways you go about actually executing that? Right? Because there's people that have referrals that are based off of like a common level of respect, right? I know you, Rob. I know you would never bring someone in here that isn't serious. Like if you're not serious, I'm gonna kick you out, right?
Mm-hmm.
But do you feel as if the interpersonal, like let's say for example, you threw all three of us in a group chat, right? Does the mode and how the introduction happens make a massive difference on the different levels of trust or how that relationship gets built? Because I think, at least with me and Kendall, right, we met on this thing. I can see his
Mm-hmm.
face. So okay, you look like me. You feel me? Like hey, like you're a cool dude.
Yeah, right.
Not necessarily. I
You
don't
don't think
know.
so?
I don't think so, because if I tell you beforehand that I'm going to
Mm-hmm.
introduce you to somebody, and I
Yeah.
put you in a group chat, both parties already know that I'm
Mm-hmm.
doing it with a purpose,
Mm-hmm.
right? So like I've been put in that situation many times where someone refers me to somebody, or I refer them to somebody, and I just make a group chat and I said, hey, Tom, here's John, Tom, introduce you guys yourself, and then I exit the group chat, because I know that one person has a need, another person has a solution, and I just bring them together, right? Both of them, I'm the common ground, and in both of them, I mutually. Sorry, that's my son playing in the background. If you guys can hear the little toddler noise, and when I mean son, it's my dog. um, but when I bring them together, right, they both have a type of mutual respect um, that they
Mm-hmm.
that I bring, and they know that. So in a sense, I don't think that really matters on what outlet you
Mm-hmm.
introduce people to. I mean, it's always face to face is
Mm-hmm.
always better, right? Because a deal should always end with a handshake. But in this day and age, and especially going forward, I don't
The
think it's
physical isn't as
too
important.
much.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, not like it was, like 20, 30 years ago, or even before that. I think more people are more comfortable um, online. Kendall, what do you think?
Yeah, definitely. I would say the context is always important, no matter what, like who the individuals or whatever the
Mm-hmm.
bridge is to introducing somebody. Um, because let's say we met at like a bar where a couple of us have. There's a different setting already off the rip, right? Saying I want to join your book club in the setting of a bar might not hit the same way as the day you guys have a meeting and I have the book pulled up, right? There's just there's a different level of the social context definitely matters, I would say. And even though you might be serious and I might be serious, it's not going to hit on the same level as 9:30 on a Monday night talking to you guys about it. And because there's another element of this is my free time, this is your guys' free time, and I'm serious about sharing it with you. And now, obviously, this is our context, right? But in the context of say any other meeting, when you're trying to achieve a goal, that's why a lot of deals, you see a lot of deals done on a golf course, or you see a lot of deals done in a coffee shop, right? You might have somebody who's dedicated to their craft in a setting where they're much more comfortable than, say, a fundraiser with 1,000 people. And you might only get that 2 minutes of FaceTime with someone you really, really want to, seriously discuss a potential deal with or potential partnership with, versus if we had 2 hours in a conference room. So, I think I hear what you guys are saying, especially like when it's like that first barrier is being broken. But I think the context absolutely matters, especially like when you're referencing this book, because like we said, there's a lot you can take away. There's already a stigma attached to the author and to the context of the book we're reading. And people might be apprehensive to it if they only see there's 3 men reading The Prince versus listening to us talk and having a full hour, of digesting how we break down this material. So I'm big on ensuring that the context of whatever it is we're interacting with is noted, because you see that, how in the media can twist anybody's words in a certain way. And if you could have somebody sounding like a horrible person when they're, making a joke, or you can have somebody who's making a joke sound like they're really trying to rally a freedom call, right? So it all that matters, the tone matters. And I do believe that when Machiavelli is speaking about this, he really was talking about how to ingratiate yourself into a city and how to ensure that its subjects will follow you if you ever found yourself in that position. He wrote this in I believe the Middle Ages, right, or the early Renaissance period. So there's a time and context there where he's not talking about corporate America.
Do you think when he wrote this book, he foresaw it as a kind of a rule book for, I mean, of course he saw it for the current king that he gave it to, but do you think that he envisioned that it would go this far and be so prevalent in today's age, even in the future, of how humans should react towards one another?
Personally, yes, I do think that. I think he was a intelligent enough individual to understand that the power will pervade any industry, any field that it finds itself in, right? It doesn't have to just be military or political. It can be personal power. It can be familial power. It can be, you can have that power dynamic in sales, right? So you can, those are things where, at least in the Western culture, he can. It doesn't take, as a learned man of the time, you can deduce that, yeah, it'll be applicable in a lot of different areas, not just the one I'm talking about it in. It was just, I think, as a high noble, that's where it would be most useful, is in the way he was addressing it to a political person.
Okay, and I also want to ask you guys this, because it's actually been pondering on my mind for a couple of days, since we're speaking about just I guess human nature and whatnot. Do you guys believe there's more stuff to uncover about us, or have all the great scholars and writers pretty much discovered everything there is about human nature and whatnot? Because you have to ask yourself, how deep is the human, I guess, the cave mindset? is there more to be discovered about human nature, or is it pretty much all been written about?
I personally feel as if we're not even close. Like I think that we try to simplify or trivialize certain complex things that we don't necessarily understand on a fundamental level. I think.
Can you give me an example of that?
Okay, schizophrenia, right? I don't know if you have any or know anybody that with schizophrenia, right? I have family members that have schizophrenia. And with like different types of dementia, different types of like mental illnesses, like how even the hereditary nature of mental illness itself, right? Like, oh, that light's out. Anyways, basically when we're looking at the complex nature of human behavior, humans behaving off of things that are both physically there or not physically there, or even like the depths of the how humans react socially to certain social environments. Like think about it like this, right now if you go to Vegas, there's a casino on the outside of Vegas, right? That is private. Nobody can just go and enter this casino. This casino is paid for by about 17 different companies, and some of them are tech-based, like apps and whatnot, right? Some of them you might actually most likely know and use on a daily basis. But the point of this casino is to study human behavior, right? How do we make these games as addictive as possible? How do we make these apps as addictive as possible, right? Companies are spending billions of dollars in R&D to understand the human psyche on a higher level so that they can monetize off of it. If we look at social media, it's built for the purpose of looping dopamine and getting you addicted, same as you would if you were grabbing a cigarette or a piece of nicotine, right? There's more to be studied, and it's getting better and better and better. And same to the point of what I said last week, which was like, the attention span of kids isn't getting worse. It's just the quality of stuff that they are used to is so much higher. If you have been getting dopamine releases at 5 years old, fast forward that 5 more years, you're at 10 years old, you only really want to spend time doing something that is going to give you that same dopamine release.
Now, after reading this book, right, and being in the field, both of you guys of business development, what do you recommend business owners to do in order to, capture their audience? And, I guess in a nutshell, what would you recommend them to do for their marketing? Like, what's an effective method that you would recommend them to do?
Well, let me get back to your first question real quick, because
Okay.
I do think there's a fundamental
Cap?
base where people operate from, right? There's a lot of things that are applicable to modern times, and this is a 600-700-year-old story, right? And it's not just with this; it's with most ancient philosophy. I don't know if you're familiar with Stoicism, but
I'm a Stoic.
So that I don't think I think that there's a lot of plight that the majority of people face, right? And obviously there's extremes. Like I want to answer that. No, we haven't solved everything there is to solve, but there is what has been solved can be applied to the vast majority of people who have been born and will be born, right?
So you're thinking, yeah. So what I'm understanding is that your hind mind, and your instinct mind, we've already mapped that, right? But your fore mind, we haven't mapped yet, and we're still learning about that. So what I mean by, do you guys know what those different tiers of the brain are?
Right.
So when you have instinctual habits, and then you have habits that are just automatic, and then you have your actual thought process. So your instinctual habits, i.e., our caveman, right? So that's as animals we do, right? And then you have automatic system like breathing, pissing, sleeping. We have those things where we can't control. We just automatically do it, right? But then we have our forebrain, which is weighing out different options, right? And thinking like, hey, I'm not going to steal this or that's not really one. I want to say something, but I don't think it's appropriate to say on this camera. I can't say it. Maybe I can do it in a different analogy. So I have an urge to do something, but I'm not gonna do it because I know that's wrong to do.
Yeah,
Understand?
yeah, I got you. That makes sense. Well, I
Right.
guess I don't think. Once again, it's that's a complex question and answer, right? Because the things, of course, it's gonna look like we have a solid grasp on things that have been explored and elaborated on, but that's also you also like Patrick said earlier, you have billions of dollars still going into this research on human behavior, on why people act the way they do, and there's an element of unpredictability within everybody, right? I think if you
What
put
do you mean by
somebody,
that? What do you mean by that? What do you mean? Because so we have certain colors that we're attracted to that like all human beings, right? We recognize red, yellow, green, right? Red is a universal, like,
gonna
is that
say that sounds like
conditioning?
that's
You know,
conditioning.
Hey, but also think,
conditioning.
hey, Target is all nothing but red, but I promise you, it's packed out at all times. It's
Well, no, it's red because it stands out. It peaks. We look at it, we see the huge bright red, and we like Target.
Well, you got to get into the intent of why a company selects a certain color, right? That's color psychology. Well, you can have red alert, or you can have the color love and passion and real, right? There's and then you get things into things like chakras um and more spiritual lore. There's attachments that people have formed and taught to other people to react a certain way, right? So you gotta
But you know what? I'm sorry.
yeah, what's up?
I gotta pull it. I gotta go back. I don't think that is conditioning. I think that's a instinctual, universal bad because our blood is red. So if we see our blood back in the caveman days, we know we're injured, right? We know something is wrong. This is bad.
okay.
No,
So,
right? If we see blood on a tree, we know
question,
don't
Rob.
go there.
Question,
Something
Rob.
is dead.
Does that same thing
Okay.
apply to an infant?
To us when
So
they're
if
forbrain.
if you have an infant,
Well,
right?
no, wait. Hold on.
Okay,
Yes, I
so
think
you
it
put
does.
in front of an infant, right? I don't know how much time you spend with kids, but if you put in front of an infant, right, you have the color red, yellow, and green. They have no context for those colors. You
No,
have to
I
teach a
disagree
kid.
because
There's a
if
part
they
of
hurt
school where you
themselves,
sitting there
if they
green,
I disagree.
go,
I
and
disagree. I They
You
hurt
guys, you
themselves.
guys are engaging in an ancient debate, by the way. This is not new. Like this
But
is
then again, that proves my point.
but bruh, like your point is a position. It's not a like. There's people who really like who will really believe like, yeah, there's something ingrained in us that'll always be ingrained in us. And then are you familiar with the tabula rasa?
please educate us.
No.
Okay,
Elaborate.
so yeah, okay, here, bro, here. So a tabula rasa is it's an idea that individuals are born with a blank slate. It's what it means in Latin. It means that individuals are born with a blank slate, and everything that is imparted on them is learned. So it's a theory of knowledge. I believe it's empirical. So that's Aristotle, Descartes, people in that field, right? So if you have this
So
Patrick said,
that
an
means
infant,
so
right?
what do
You
you mean
have
by
an
that
infant,
is people born evil or
right?
is that toxic?
Exactly. Are
Okay.
you? Yeah. Is that behavior learned, or are they born that way?
Okay.
Baby Hitler is a common ethical dilemma that people like to entertain, but it remains that some people, it sounds like you, Robert, hold the notion that there's an element of there's something in the DNA that allows us, that we're operating from way back in before antiquity, right? And what Patrick is saying is perhaps, but there's evidence that shows that those that there's an element of learned knowledge that that all human beings have to undertake in order to become a functional
Okay, so what
social
is that
creature.
though? What is that? What is that? Because we didn't have that
We
two
still
thousand years
had
ago.
learned
What do you mean?
traditions
What is that?
and lessons and parts of history that were oral at the time. There's like, if you think about more native and indigenous cultures, it's not that information wasn't passed down; it just wasn't recorded in the same quote unquote typical way.
No, that's completely off topic. That's not
But
what we're
we're
talking about.
talking about
What do you
learning,
mean?
right? Like the lessons of these things happening 1,000, 2,000 years ago, right?
No, we're talking about whether someone is born knowing that red is bad or they're evil. That's what we're talking about.
Mm-hmm.
Right. So here, that is called rationalism or innateism. It's
Mhm.
rationalism, right? So you
Mhm.
have this, you hold this this viewpoint that every mind has an element of preformed knowledge or beliefs or I like right. I don't want to put words in your mouth, but that's what I'm hearing.
So what I'm trying to tell you guys is two things, okay? And I'm gonna elaborate on this. Okay. One, I believe, again, my belief is that we instinctively have survival instincts that tell us something like something's wrong, something's bad. I.e., for example, we want to use a toddler. A toddler cuts themselves. They see blood. They have pain. Now they correlate, which is technically called pattern matching as well, but they correlate pain, blood to bad.
Would you consider that a learned
You don't
experience,
have
though?
to,
Because they learned through experience.
but we're talking about toddlers. They don't have the
The ability to like
what is it called?
recognize.
The
Mm-hmm.
capacity, yeah, to do that yet, right? They have to develop the forebrain first in order to learn from experience. What that is called
Mm-hmm.
is pattern matching, right? That's you're automatically through trial, you're saying, hey, this is bad. No, but that has nothing to do with your
Mm-hmm.
forebrain.
I have a question. Where do you
Okay.
fall in the nature versus nurture
Um, I
scenario?
believe that people are born a certain way. Uh, why I say this is because there's been studies um, that a person that's born a little bit messed up, their chemical balance is off in the brain,
Mm-hmm.
right? Their front cortex is operating at a different wavelength than a normal human being, right? Um, so I believe that someone is born with I'm trying to word this correctly. Someone is born with a I guess a gate that's open. And let me I can't find the words right now because it's very late right now, but let me bring this into context. So someone is born, right, and a normal person will know that murder is wrong, right? They
Hey,
know.
brother, hold on now. You're making a lot of assumptions there.
Oh well, I'm just like I said. Let me explain.
All right.
Right? Someone is born, right, and they know. Oh, not say murder. Okay, let's just say I should not do this because I know it's bad. Like I'm not gonna kill an innocent bunny. All right. There are some people who don't have that switch to say don't do this. No. Right? They instinctively that part of their brain is inactive, right, or hyperactive. And so when they see something, they can't control themselves. They have to do it. Okay? There's been studies on this. It's proven. It's science. Okay? A sociopath, a schizophrenic, um, bipolar, their brains operate different than a normal human being.
That's interesting.
Now, also I do also say that through experience, their thought process becomes heightened, right? And they, through experience, I say they're already messed up in the head and they've had a bad childhood. They're more likely to act on these ideas and bad thoughts in their head because that's what they've been shown and seen. So they're like, hey, I don't care. I'm going to do it. I don't have any remorse. Now, you can build remorse into somebody, but I feel like someone still has that urge. You can't. Serial killers have an urge. right? Now you can put them in prison and you can say bad, 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 but they just can't control themselves. There've been literally people saying like, I can't stop. I don't like. I just love killing people.
Kendall, where do you fall on
Right.
this?
So, Patrick,
I want to
okay,
hear yours
I
first
mean,
before I say mine.
all right, there's a lot with what Robert just said, right? So I don't want to disregard that just for my opinion. And
No, I want to hear your opinion. I'm not right, so I want to hear your opinion.
For sure. Oh, well, I mean, like, because this is like I said, this is one of the great debates of all time. People have been discussing this exact scenario, these exact positions for since societies were created, right? So there's people who are I do think yes, there are elements that we are born with that, like Robert was saying, those automatic bodily responses, right? Now, when we get into particular elements of human behavior, though, absolutely learned, absolutely taught. And it's only because of our exposure through civilized society or whatever society we're born into, whatever that may be, our tribe, our island, our city, our nation, right? There's things that we're born into as Americans. We take for granted and don't even acknowledge, like, just like, okay, for example, our ability to speak and understand English, right? That was learned, 100% learned. Now, if you put a baby Kendall in the middle of Mexico, I promise you that brother's speaking Spanish fluently. I promise you. There's no way around that, right? Because the context of my environment allows me to. This is the language everybody's talking. I gotta talk like them. I gotta learn. I gotta understand. I don't know what they're saying, so it's gonna come out of Spanish. Brother, you have to learn the sign language. You have to learn whatever it is, however you're communicating. Now that's just
let's say you don't know. This is old days. There's no type of sign language. You go to a new country and you can sit down there. You don't know what the hell people are saying. How do you communicate?
You figure something out, right?
People communicate instinctively through body language. Language is 75%.
We're on the same page there. But I'm saying there's still a learned. You have to learn okay, I can't hear. I need to communicate with everybody else in my tribe. Otherwise,
I disagree, man.
Really?
This is a universal no. You go anywhere in the world.
Where did you learn that this is?
This is a universal no. This is a universal yes.
Robert, you can shake your head at a baby every day for decades, and that if you don't tell them what that means, he's just gonna look at you like.
I disagree. I disagree, man. I think instinctively.
Bro, we need to get you around some kids.
I swear to God, man.
I swear we need to get you around some kids, bro. We're gonna take you to a pre-K.
Hey, hold on, man. I ain't around no damn kids, man.
All right. Here's this. Have you heard of John Locke? Are you familiar with John Locke?
I heard John Locke. Yes.
Okay, so John Locke, he holds that that people are born blank and need to learn every element everything that they act upon. It has been learned that they can. Otherwise, you'd have I don't know what you would call the person who doesn't learn, but you'd have that just a blank person, like Tarzan, damn near, right? And there's studies there where you see people
removed from like
man,
society.
they're not their name is slipping me, but there was bruh, I'm gonna have to look this up. But I took in psychology, there was this individual who never learned language, and they a group of people studied that person intentionally and never taught him, and wondered what would happen. And what happened was amazing. Let me put it that way. Let me find it so I can just curious. Let me see because a lot happened. But my point is they were trying to outline. Obviously, it's unethical, right? But I had to learn what ethics are in order for that.
I'm not glad. This is an experiment I would probably do.
I was saying, he don't speak. Let's go ahead. Throw him in the cage. Let's figure it. Let's see what he does. This will be interesting.
It's science, man.
Yeah, here, let me find it.
Be that
not end up in Rob's lab because it's not gonna go good for you.
Hey, look, I have a little checklist, and a little chart. Be like, yeah, can't speak.
Yeah, John Locke. Okay, here we go. Yeah, twin studies. So people were, bro. There's a lot actually. I'm looking here. way more than I thought. Essentially, okay, so they separated twins at birth and then studied the two based on their environment. And
Okay.
I think obviously, there's no one right
Mhm.
answer here, right? It's a little bit of both, but there's things
Mhm.
like IQ, alcoholism, gender identity,
That's
emotion.
genetic. That's
Hold on,
genetic.
bro.
Okay.
I'm
That's
just
genetic.
reading important evidence against the model of tabula rasa comes
Mhm.
from behavioral genetics, especially with twin and adoption studies.
Mhm.
These indicate strong genetic influences on personal characteristics such as IQ, alcoholism, gender identity, emotion. Critically, multivariate studies show that the distinct facilities of the mind,
Hmm.
such as memory and reason,
Mhm.
fractionate along genetic boundaries.
Even gender?
Universalist, brother, it's a lot. People clearly people had the same spirit of curiosity here, right? Where I wonder what would happen if we separated twins at birth and raised them one in the jungle, raised one in the city. Let's see
Mhm.
what happens.
Okay.
So, in the relative resilience of psychological adaptation to accidental biological changes, support basic biological mechanisms in the mind. So I think there are components where you're correct here. Now, it might not be the examples you gave us, but there's evidence suggesting that there is an innate element
Oh no, I'm right.
comprised of right, but that's what I'm saying.
All right.
However, right? There's I'm looking here. It says Steven Pinker shows that in contrast to written language, the brain is hardwired at birth to acquire spoken language. Now, when you use an example like "What if you're deaf?" people gotta, hey, that's why we developed sign language. People were like, bro, there's too many of these people. There's too many of these people who can't understand the words coming out of my mouth. Because of that,
Shit, that's what
we gotta
I feel like that
we
every
gotta
day, man.
create something with
Mhm.
our hands.
Okay.
We gotta
Wait,
do something with
let
our
me ask you
hands.
this. I had a poll on my social media, by the way. Follow me on Instagram. And that's a Rob profile that. But I had a poll on this the other day. I wanted to ask. I said, I know in the future it's gonna happen, right? I'm very good at predicting stuff, and I know it's gonna happen. There's gonna come a time where we develop an app or a tool or something like that, where the the different languages will be obsolete. There will be one universal language. There's already that right now, the app where you have your phone, you talk English in it, and as you talk in English, it spits back the different language that you put in, right? I'm pretty sure 10 years, 20 years down the line, there's going to be a tool where, now this might sound nerdy, but you know, one of those anime things where like you go to like
Oh yeah,
isekai,
it's a
and like the motherfucker does like a
Mhm.
like the magic spell on you to understand the language, you know, and you're speaking English, but the other people understand what the
yeah.
hell you're saying,
Mhm.
right? So, and now let me drop back to non-nerdy, but uh, but what I mean by that is, uh, there's gonna come a time where there's no point. Well, like English, Japan, Japanese, Italian, French. It's gonna be obsolete. You just talk whatever language you're in, and people are gonna understand it. Now, would that be called a What would that be called? Is that a universal language? Is
I
that a
don't
new type
think
of
that that's
language?
necessarily a new type of language. I think it's just the capability to translate at very high levels. Like I was looking into the like headsets to get into because I've done
Hmm.
some like early level building into AR apps and assets, right? So I was already kind of looking to get a Quest.
And if anyone doesn't
Yeah,
know, that's mean
augmented
augmented
reality
reality.
applications. So there is one that I still am working on it. I'm tinkering around. It's just an idea for me, really. But it's just like the application of having like a sports app, but in multiple viewings. Anyways, with that, right, I was looking to the Quest 3 because I've been seeing a lot of stuff talking about the Quest 3, how like it's able to do LiDAR scans of your room in real time and then interact with
And Quest
its
3 is
Facebook's
what?
headset, right?
The Facebook.
So, mind you, Facebook
Hmm.
came out and said like we're terrified when Apple drops their headset. Like when they drop theirs, it's like it's
Hmm.
you dropping Drake albums, everyone is clearing the shelves immediately, right? Um,
Hmm.
and so I was looking at it, it's pretty decently priced, but the point of what I'm saying though is that like the level of interaction, right? So because they're wearing a headset, which they can see through, mind you, it does a LiDAR scan of your room and then creates a 3D environment relative to your room and space in real time. And then you can portal in someone else. So someone else can be wearing their headset and sitting in my living room. And I'm looking at them having a full conversation, right? If that now imagine that once Apple has their Apple Vision drops, right? Give that 2-3 generations, automatic translation is not that crazy complicated, especially when you think of the time delay. If there's any form of a delay in between the communication, if it can be translated instantaneously. Now, the reason why I say it wouldn't be like one single language is because there's still cultural importance in language. Like when you study linguistics, right? Think about the Bible, for example, right? The Bible has been translated like 100 times in different languages, and because languages don't always have one-to-one meanings, right? Like, for example, Mandarin, right? Mandarin and Chinese in general is an ideographic language, right? So if I am, let's say, for example, I am saying like Hao Zhou Bu Jian, right? Which means long time no see, right? Hao Zhou Bu Jian is actually an idiom of a story. There's a story attached to that particular like phrase, right? We just say it long time no see, right? It doesn't have any like real, what I'm saying is the exact same. The wording and the meaning is the exact same, but the cultural value, it differs, and it becomes more relevant when you're speaking Mandarin as opposed to English, right? I think that we're going to be able to communicate with everybody, but that doesn't mean that we're going to be speaking the same exact language. I think that just means we're all going to be speaking what our individual languages are, but we're all going to be able to understand each other in those native tongues. So let's say, for example, if I speak Mandarin and you speak English, right? I will be speaking, you will think that I'm speaking English to you completely, right? Like, especially if you study different languages, like when you really understand what another person is saying in a different language, they're speaking just like you speak, just using different words. It's like someone sitting there bullshitting you is like bullshitting you in Mandarin, like really laying it on you like you're playing dominoes at your uncle's. You feel me? But to someone else that doesn't understand what's being said, it sounds like this dude is talking crazy about me. Like but it's not like, I was about to give an example, but I don't want to get us canceled. But suffice it to say, right? I think with the progression of technology, I think that the barriers are going to lower. And even like, I know we were talking about potential shows to watch. There's a show called Pantheon on Amazon that talks about uploaded intelligence, right? And like the progressive speed in which how communication happens. Like even, and this isn't spoilers, but like there's a part where they're at the point in the story where everyone is an uploaded intelligence and there's artificial intelligence and people are interacting in this digital realm that they're like technically physically in, right? Communication happens so fast, it's at the speed of light. And then at that point, the intrinsic value of things becomes time, not speed. How fast can you communicate things? Like even, yeah.
Well, I think that's the intrinsic value for everything. I mean, the best products out there are the ones that are going to save.
But think about how fast we think, right? Just like internally, right? Like when you're looking at a high level problem, and you're especially when you're not auditorily communicating it, you're not having to wait for inputs to change what you're thinking, right? When it's just all internal, the speed of that. Now imagine if that could be put on speaker. How much faster would you be able to communicate internally and also externally, thus getting things done at such a fast rate? And then also think about the limitations of, like, not everybody thinks at the same rate. Like some people categorically think faster, but that's relative to IQ. But then that's even a whole debate and stuff. Kendall, what are your thoughts?
Yeah, so there's a lot there. Once again, yeah, bro, I'm loving the conversation because, I mean, I want to get back to the language real quick, just because I don't want that to go like. There's a lot to explore. There's like way more to explore there than just on a surface level, right? Because, Robert said something to me earlier that red means bad automatically, right? So let's take. I have to assume, right, just because we speak the same language, that you are seeing the same color I'm seeing. Now this, to me, looks like red. I have to trust that your the word you attach to the color you're seeing matches. Now, this red to me might be blue to y'all, but you're seeing it as red because you've attached the word red to this color. You see what I'm saying? Is that making sense? Like, for example, like
different example.
Okay. Like the color is really the easiest I can use, bro. So let me try and break it down a little easier.
Like you say the color red, but it's not. You're not visually interpreting it as red, so, but you understand, even though you're not interpreting it correctly, right? It's still red.
Like the what is it? That's a visual thing too. So there's the light that's bouncing off of this object resonates at such a high frequency that it's reflecting this color. This is the color I call red. You might call it red too, but if I had your eyeballs, it might look blue to me because it's bouncing at a different way. It's bouncing at a different wavelength.
What if it's red or fuchsia? Right, like.
But I'm saying you're calling it that color. I have to trust that the color you're calling. Are you guys following me? Because I could use a different example, I guess.
So I mean, I kind of follow you here, but I mean that kind of goes into the realm of social proof. If enough people are calling something, if enough people are calling a cat, then you're gonna say that's cat.
Bruh, hear me out.
Right?
I hear what you're saying.
You're calling a cat. You're putting the word to a thing, and I have to trust. I have to trust that word is the thing what I'm seeing at the same time. Like it's not about like there's an element of unknowing that I'll never really fully have that knowledge the way
I mean, if you say that, then I don't even know my reality is real. I'm just trusting that.
Hey, you're getting the matrix. You got to, I mean, yeah, bro. That's all. That is part of philosophy is an iceberg, brother, and it gets.
I know that.
It gets deep. All night. You have to trust, though, right? You have to trust that there's a shared element in the language that what we're talking about can be that you're not only is it not going to be fully grasped, but that trust can be built upon. Is that are you following me? So,
like assumed values, like there's a lot of assumed values within communication itself.
Yeah, for sure, because it's. Once again, that's all learned, right? I have to trust in my learning and your learning that the shared element of communication and language is going to reflect the reality I'm living in. And it might not. That's why when you're talking about schizophrenics and people with mental illnesses and people who might see the world differently than us, that doesn't
But you can prove all this through science, though.
Bruh, you can't.
Okay, what do you mean? You just said the wavelength hitting your thing hits at a certain point. That's science.
Right.
If everyone's seeing the same wavelength, then it's going to be red.
Bro, the word I'm attaching isn't.
It's just a word, though.
But it's in the form of communication. That's the only vehicle in which you can communicate shared values and like word associations. If I say the color red, you're saying the color red.
Thank you.
That means we both assume that what we're looking at is red.
If I bleed, you
right?
bleed.
But
bro, yeah.
So I don't need to say the color red. If I bleed, you bleed.
I'm saying though, that thing. Look at your wall right there. Right, there's a wavelength reflecting off of your wall that I'm trusting is called blue.
It's not trusting. It's science.
No, bro, it's not.
Yes, it is. If you're seeing the same
okay, so what if you're on shrooms? What if you're on some type of psychoactive, which is changing your filters or perception of light?
That's changing That's changing the chemical makeup of your brain.
It doesn't change the color though.
What do you mean? It doesn't change the color. It enhances the color.
Bro. Listen, because you're not.
The colors don't change. The colors are still the same.
Brother.
You can't change biology.
If you call it, I'm calling it right. I'm attaching this word to that frequency. That might be a different frequency to you because you see the world the way you see the world.
So what if you have worse eyesight? What if you don't have perfect eyesight? And let's say your eyesight is a little bit diluted, right? Let's say you don't have 20/20, right?
Okay.
So let's say I have 20/20 and I see that and I say that color is red. But to you, because you have, let's say your eye is a little bit blurry and you can't see things, right?
Let's say stigma.
Whatever your visual impairment is.
Then I'm gonna say, look, you're not seeing the color red because you have a stigma. and it's blocking the
But bro,
wavelength.
you're
Not
not
able
gonna
to
say
see the
that
color.
because you're calling it red already. That's what I'm saying, bro.
No, it's not.
You're
No.
attaching.
There's a universal fact. There's a universal truth. There's a universal truth. You cannot go against science.
Science is only science when it gets proved again and again and again. Yes, if it gets proved wrong.
Even then, bro, what we're talking about aren't even in the same boat too, though, because philosophy of language and natural philosophy, which is what science is called. Look it up, right? Natural philosophy. You're interpreting what has been proven by repeated tests, and using that as science. Whatever you want to call it, brother. Whatever you want to call it. Okay.
What's that called? The hypothesis? Something method? What is it called?
The scientific method.
Scientific method, right?
Scientific method. Yeah.
The hypothesis.
But what I'm saying is, there's other philosophies that can challenge natural philosophy.
Okay.
Yes.
Like
that's
what?
Like. Okay.
Something is challenging the natural philosophy of the color of the wavelength. The universal wavelength.
The wavelength has nothing to do with the word you're attaching to it. The wavelength's what's being reflected. That's what we're gonna see. I'm gonna see this wavelength no matter what. You're gonna see this wavelength no matter what.
Okay.
What we call that might differ should we have varying wavelengths hitting our eyeballs. That's what I'm calling red.
So that's like you saying, hey, in America we call that color red, but in China we say green. Okay,
if that's what they see,
the same thing. The word doesn't matter. We're both seeing the same color. So then the word does agree on this.
That's how confusion is bred. That's how misunderstandings occur. That's how wars start, right? You don't know.
Of course, but then you have common ground. You have common ground.
That's not, bro. But
so
you
it's
gotta
not.
Hear me. This is getting back into human behavior.
To kind of keep this conversation going, I think it's just a matter of there is subjective opinions, right? But then there's actual fact, right? But fact is only fact if it's continuously proven without being proven incorrectly, right? I think that Kendall has his perspective on it, right? And Rob, I think you have your viewpoint on it. However, viewpoints are not fact; they are opinions.
Right. I'm just sharing alternate viewpoints because there are people who might need to.
Okay. I'm sharing the truth.
Bro, Rob is the most interesting debate partner I've ever had in my life.
Okay.
Man, because bro, you start getting into the truth.
Truth is subjective, bro.
Yeah,
truth is subjective.
Truth is wholly subjective.
Truth is subjective.
What do you mean? Okay. If 1 + 1 = 2, you tell me that's subjective.
We're not asking.
If you don't know,
I have 3 bananas.
That's
3 bananas. It's not going to be 4 all of a sudden. This is the truth. This is a universal truth. There are 3 bananas here.
3 is a created concept. That's a concept we all learned. That didn't exist before.
No.
This is gonna get too theologian-ish.
It's gonna get based on way deep. It's gonna get way deep.
Based on numbers, right? The world is based on 0, 1, 2, 3.
Technically, the world is only built on zeros and ones. Technically, if you want to, it's technically binary. If you really want to get out.
Zero. Yes, it's numbers. The world is just numbers. If you really break it down to the science of it, it's just...
I want to get somebody on that is, if anybody watches this, that is like a very mathematical, can really sit here and talk. We need to put you
super in the
have a conversation with Rob. We need this for our entertainment, please. Anyways,
bro, this is.
I'm a man of God. Stop it. Always stand on that full 10. You're
trying to. There's theories, bro. There's theories. There's the reason why theories remain theories and laws are laws, right? That's going back to your science. I'm not going to say your science, but you seem to be a position. You seem to have this propensity to favor natural philosophy, and that's fine. There's a lot of people who do, bro. You're not alone. Charles Darwin.
What's the universal law of matter? What's the universal law of matter?
Isn't it? Energy can't be.
I don't think
created or destroyed.
Yeah, I don't know.
Matter can't be created or destroyed. It'll only be transferred. Okay.
I thought that was energy.
You're saying one time that matter.
I'm right there, bro. I thought energy and matter are not the same.
Technically not.
See, look, guys, this is when you get to the point where it's like we ain't making the cut, we ain't making the team. We just gonna drop the subject.
Yeah. Hey, look, it's good. I'm not trying to hold a position, but there's people who really do, and I would be, I would not be doing them justice to ignore their stance. There's a multitude. Look, bro, my personal philosophies aren't being included right now. But some of them, some of them are. But like, I've also read enough to understand. That, yeah, bro, there's a perspective I've never heard of in my life, and now I have it. And
yes,
I'm inclined to share it because I've been exposed to it.
Okay, I'm not sitting here and saying I'm 100% right. Actually, matter of fact, I truly believe. No, 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 no. This is my reality. This is my reality. This is my reality. Okay, you can have your opinions. I don't care. Hey, if you want to think that color blue, go ahead and clean the color blue. I'm not gonna look at you any different. Okay, but I'm saying actually I want to bring this point up. Cause we're gonna wrap it up soon, but I want to bring this point up before we wrap it up. I want to say, in terms of reality, I truly believe that there are different realities because you have to think everybody is experiencing this so-called world or life. There's 7 billion different views of the world, right? And I truly believe if someone sees a ghost and someone sees a supernatural being, that's their reality. In their world, they see it. In my world, I can't see that, right? So if someone says, I believe in the supernatural, I believe in God, I believe in this, I believe in that, hey, if you've seen it, if you feel it, who am I to say that your truth is not truth? Because I'm only seeing it through my own cognitive view of the world. I can't enter your world, right? And that's the beauty of just just life. You might be seeing ghosts and demons and color red and yellow and all that. I might be seeing
the number 3. You experienced the number 3.
Okay, I might be seeing a whole different thing, and I can't say nothing about it because that's your truth.
No, of course.
Any closing arguments and words before we?
I don't want to argue, bro. I want to say
discussion. Sorry, I just want
to accurately represent positions and articulate positions that I've been exposed to that others may hold near and dear to their heart, right? And you're absolutely right there. I'm on the same boat as you right there, brother. Because I can't disregard somebody else's truth. I'm never gonna be able to do that, right? But that's the beauty of language. Being able to share that in a forum where I can understand, in a medium I can understand. Now, language at this point, that's what we got. That's the best way we have to share what's going on in here internally and whatever, sharing our experiences, right? Whatever it is that.
Now, are you including body language with this, or are you talking about language?
Language.
Okay.
All language. Okay.
All. I thought you were talking about verbal language.
No, because verbal language that disregards all the deaf and blind people right there, or at least deaf people. So there's a shared medium of communication. Bro,
you just not let him get it off, bro. Let him get to his conclusion.
I'll just fuck with you. Go ahead.
Yeah, no, it's good, bro. Like I get you, but yeah, my point being is there's that deserves exploration, no matter what personal opinion you might hold. It's important to expose yourself to a variety of differences and a variety of schools of thought that you otherwise might not know about because you're so steadfast in your reality. If you remove the ego, remove yourself from your reality and try and welcome differing perspectives, I think you'll have a fuller life, a fuller way of sharing your opinions, a fuller experience, rather than creating this echo chamber where, all right, bro, this is my reality. I'm king of this hill. I mean, you are, but you're doing yourself a disservice if you don't, not just you, bro, anybody listen, you're doing yourself a disservice if you don't explore those alternate perspectives. That's all.
Yeah. And let's wrap this back up to the book. That's why when you go into a different foreign country, or city, have your mind open.
Have your mind
right?
open.
Don't be
live with the people.
Have your mind open
with the people.
Live with the people. We have to get to the book somehow. Patrick, closing
words are. I mean, I think Kendall put it in amazingly where I think that you're doing a disservice by not keeping yourself open to different perspectives. I think that everyone does make their own reality. However, that can be both a positive and negative thing. So be cautious when doing that, right? You don't want to stand too steadfast in one position and not give yourself the mobility to be able to grow and think, right? Being able to look at, I studied communications in college, and looking at things through the critical lens is nothing but putting yourself in other people's shoes to better understand a problem, people, or thing, right? I think this was a great episode 3, just phenomenal conversation. So if you look forward to the next one, or if you're interested in joining, hit either myself, Rob, or Kendall now, and we'd love to have anybody. Let's click the link to watch the playlist of other videos. Yeah, and thanks so much for your time.
Awesome.
See you
guys next time.
All right, yeah, next week.